Fantastic. I would like to welcome everyone to our October Sexton Mountain Neighbor Southwest NAC meeting. I'm happy that you could all make it. I'm going to have our panelists go around and introduce yourselves. I am going to give you a quick question that you'll need to answer. In last month's meeting, Elliot was our host, and he asked people to share if they had seen anything nice or heartwarming in the community. And I think that's a lovely way to start the meeting. And if you can't think of anything, it's okay. You're not in trouble. But anyway, I am Jen Fife-Adams. I am co-chair of the Sexton Mountain NAC, and I've been doing it for the last several years. I apologize for the lighting in here. We have a new puppy in our life, and it's a little bit easier for me to lead things from my bedroom tonight where the dog can't get in. Just something heartwarming I noticed today was that one of Sexton Mountain Elementary School's teachers had to leave because her husband got a new job in California, and one of our Sexton Mountain parents, in fact, someone who had presented at our meeting previously, sold her house for her, and today posted a thank you gift that she had made for the teacher, and it said, "Sexton Mountain misses you," and it had a collection of photographs of teachers and parents from the community, and I just thought that was really, really lovely. So just wanted to share that. I'll have Sharon go next.
Hi, I'm Sharon Dunham, and I've been in Sexton Mountain NAC since the 90s. And I did this endeavor this time around.
Sharon, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, can you hear me better? Closer to this?
Yep.
Okay, so I guess one of the, I've been kind of hunkered down, but I think one of the heartfelt things has been doing an free art for kids that are in foster care and family promise with homeless. And we just got 9 or 10 preschoolers to participate in this too, and send in their scratchboard art, which we have put up on our website for the gallery. So it's so nice to see people engage in these free opportunities, things that, you know, we're all hunkered down in COVID. So it's nice to be able to share art as a way to express ourselves.
Absolutely. All right, thank you, Sharon. Hey, Jim, do you mind going next?
Yeah, I'm Jim Blake. I'm going to be recording the meeting tonight. So speak clearly so I can understand and get your words down correctly. I guess my nice moment would be kind of to coattail off of what Jen was saying. We got a new puppy back late spring. And so we're out in the neighborhood walking her, and with these kind of divided or, you know, times where people are keeping their distance, we're meeting all sorts of people out in the neighborhoods that have other dogs and come up and are sharing great stories and finding, you know, that in these times of isolation, you're getting out and we're meeting more people because we have a new puppy. So it's making new kind of temporary friends. We'll see where it goes, but you'll get there, Jen. When you get out and you start taking your dog out for walks, you're going to be surprised how people are really wanting to get engaged at any opportunity to meet new people. So I think that's inspiring in these times.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. All right, Scott. Oh, we need to unmute you.
Yeah. All right, so my name is Scott, the treasurer, and I think probably the most heartwarming thing I saw was over the weekend we went to the ballot drop box outside the Beaverton City Library to drop off our ballots, and there was a line of vehicles waiting to use the ballot drop box. It was just so exciting to see that much enthusiasm 2 weeks out. So
That's awesome. Thank you, Scott. All right, Mark.
My name is Mark Hokkanen. I'm the Risk and Contract Manager with Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District. Probably the most heartfelt thing I've seen so far is the fact that all our facilities are now opening back up to the public, and people are able to do things other than just walk in their park. I mean, we've got soccer fields full of kids again, kids in after-school programs, and we've got people actually swimming back in the pools. And the pools have been, I think, missed sorely by a lot of people, as we've got communities outside our area that are traveling and renting pool space just so they can end up having something for their families to do.
That's awesome. Yay, thank you. All right, I don't know how our folks from DR Horton and Pacific Community, if you each want to introduce yourselves, or if one of you wants to be the spokesperson and introduce yourself and share something lovely.
Hi, I'm Stacy Connery with Pacific Community Design. We're the planning consultant for a park application that we'll be sharing with you a little bit later this evening. I can introduce everybody, or do you guys want to introduce yourselves later or in a moment? You can just nod if you, okay. I'm going to assume they'll want to introduce themselves.
Yeah. I'm Andy Tiemann with DR Horton, and we're the builder in a subdivision called Westmont, and we're here tonight to present a proposed park at Westmont subdivision.
Right.
I'll just add one heartwarming thing, just building on what Scott said about the ballot drop. I have noticed like an uptick in positivity and just like friendliness recently, that I think once people vote, like they feel kind of like they've exercised some power, like they have some control over something. And I've just seen like just general goodwill increasing recently. So I've been happy to see that.
That's awesome. Great. Hey, Becky, I know you stepped in a few minutes later, but we're introducing ourselves as panelists. And then if there's something heartwarming that we've noticed in our lives recently, we're sharing that.
Thank you. My name is Becky Tymchuk, and I'm the chair of the Beaverton School Board. And I think the most heartwarming thing is that we are just seeing so many of our families and our students being able to be resilient during this very difficult time in public education. And it is so wonderful to see people be able to come together and trying to do what is best for our students and families.
That's awesome. Thank you, Becky. All right, I am so happy to have all of you guys here today. Something I noticed right away looking at the agenda is that we don't have anyone from Beaverton Police. So I'm going to guess that Officer Fleckenstein is off doing his work. So Mark, I'm going to move over to you.
Well, thank you. The last time we spoke last month, we were still dealing with COVID and I believe the fires. So this last month has been kind of active for us. We finally have a number of facilities open to the public. So we have the Conestoga Recreation Center, our Athletic Center and the Tennis Center, as well as Cedar Hills Recreation Center. And I did mention briefly about the swimming pools. The Aquatic Center and Conestoga swimming pool are open for lap swim. Most of the activities do require some type of pre-registration if you're planning to use the fitness rooms or weight room, and masks are required. This month then is kind of the ending of our free park fitness programs. So if you're interested in taking a class out in a park site free of charge, just take a look at the website as well. We are actively working on an out of school program. So for those parents who need to work or have work from home situations and they need some help with their kids, we do have pods of 10 children by grade level, and there are spots still available for those who would like to participate, as well as preschool programs are also available. This Halloween, we're hosting a drive-through Halloween, or they call it a Halloween trick-or-treat event at our HMT complex at 158th and Walker Road. That will be this Saturday starting at 6 p.m. Let's see, there's also October events. We have a drive-in bingo for those that would like to participate at the Stir Center. I believe there was one activity this past Monday, and the next one is this Friday. And as always, we have lots of volunteer opportunities on our website this month, including community garden cleanups and helping spread chips into some new dog parks or dog runs that we have been working on. As always, our trail usage is remaining very high during this pandemic. We'd like to remind everybody to step off the trail and try to maintain their 6-foot distance as they come up to people, or wear a face covering. And a positive note, we have finally been able to open up certain outdoor restrooms. So those outdoor restrooms that are near a large facility and they are flush restrooms, not the porta potties, those are open for use finally. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right, so if folks have questions, feel free to enter them into the Q&A, or just like Franziska said, if you would like your voice to be able to be heard, then Franziska, was it they just need to raise their hand?
Yeah, there's the raise hand feature. If you go into the participants panel, you'll be able to see it next to your name under the drop down for more.
All right, do we have any panelists who have questions for Mark? Okay, we have one question from Dimitri. He is wondering, are kids' swimming lessons back at THPRD yet?
At this time, no, but they are looking forward to trying to be able to see when we can schedule that. That is something that unfortunately is currently part of the Oregon Health Authority guidance program. So we are hoping that will happen here, hopefully in the next couple months.
Fantastic. All right, do we have any other questions before we move on? All right, well, Mark usually sticks around with us for a bit, so if someone thinks of a question a little bit later, he'll probably be able to answer it, and if he has to step out, we know how to reach him. So thank you so much, Mark. All right, so Franziska, we're going to move to the city update, which you have.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Jen. Again, for folks who weren't here right at the beginning, my name is Franziska Rose. I'm with the City of Beaverton. I'm the Public Involvement Coordinator. And I just have a couple of updates tonight. So the first one is regarding the interim city manager recruitment. So the city is hiring for an interim city manager to support new city charter implementation and regular city manager recruitment. On January 1st, 2021, the city will transition from a mayor-council to a council-manager form of government as a result of voter-approved charter changes from the May 2020 election. The interim city manager will be appointed in fall by City Council and will report to the council, as well as provide administrative direction, support to city initiatives, and leadership to all city departments. The position will serve as Beaverton's first city manager and will serve in their role for approximately 6 months to include the recruitment, selection, and early onboarding of the city manager. Applications are currently being accepted electronically by the Novak Consulting Group, and the position is open until filled with the first review of applications that happened last week on October 15th. And the interim city manager is expected to begin on January 1st. The other piece of update that I have is in reference to the virtual fall voters forum that we had last Wednesday. So that was presented by the Beaverton Committee for Community Involvement and featured the race for the Beaverton mayor, the race for the new city council position, position 6, as well as for the Washington County commissioner for District 1. The videos of the event in both English and Spanish are now up on the website, which I'll put in the chat here as well, which is www.beavertonoregon.gov/voters-forum. So if you happen to miss the event last Wednesday, there's still plenty of opportunity to watch it and help you make your decisions when it comes time to fill out your ballot. And I think that's all the updates that I have for tonight. Does anybody have any questions? I'll go ahead and put the voters forum link in the chat here. All right, great. Well, I don't see any questions, but if anybody does at any point have any questions about city-related business, I'm happy to answer it. I'll be here for the whole meeting.
All right, thank you, Franziska. All right, a little bit ahead of time, we are going to move to our presentation about an upcoming park proposal. So I will let Andy, Maureen, and Stacy take things over.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you for having us tonight. We appreciate your time and letting us speak about our proposed park. So a few years ago, we developed a subdivision called Westmont, and there was a, with that development, we created tracks for water quality facilities and open space. And there is an open space track that we would like to propose a park. We heard from the homeowners at the community that they would like a park, and so we agreed. And so we put a design together for this park. We've had a pre-application conference with the city of Beaverton, and so we now understand more of the requirements to build this park. So Maureen, is it possible to, I'm not sure if people can see our proposed park, but we're proposing a walkway with picnic table and benches so that they can enjoy the open space that was created with that subdivision. And so
is it possible? Okay, it's working. Thank you.
Yeah, so the blue parcel there is the tract that was created as open space with the platting of Westmont. And Westmont is kind of, there's 4 lots directly north, and then there's another little open space, and then directly north of that, the roads go east and west, and there's about 120 homes that were built with that subdivision. So what we're proposing is off of Redbird to continue public sidewalk into that open space area and have a picnic table with some benches. Maureen, I'm not sure if you have, yeah, there we go. So so track C is the tract that is open space. It's currently vegetated with native grasses and trees. And so we're proposing to build a pathway with concrete, and then adding some benches and a picnic table and some trash receptacles there, so that people can enjoy that natural area. So that is what we're proposing, and we would love to hear comments from the community and neighbors. And I'm here, and Stacy and Maureen's here to answer any questions.
I see 2 hands up. I'm going to go in order of who put them up first. So it looks like Dimitri, I might be mispronouncing that, but I am going to allow you to talk now.
All right, well, thank you. Yeah, this is, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so my name is Dimitri Velikan, and I'm one of those 4 homeowners that are like directly adjacent to this tract C lot. And I mean, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to join the dialogue, and I'm definitely excited to see that D.R. Horton is trying to kind of work with the homeowners. So that's exciting. I think the one area that we wanted to ensure that we have some additional dialogue and kind of some additional thinking here is the fact that the dead end street, the Redbird Street, that is like directly adjacent to this lot, is a private road that is not maintained and owned by the city of Beaverton. That is owned by those and maintained by those 4 households that are directly there. So we would just like to hear out what options are out there to, since this becomes the only access point to the park, like what are the options that are out there that we can brainstorm and figure out to make that road not maintainable by those 4 households that are right there. So that's like one question that we have. And I think another question around just the design of the park. I'm just curious if it's planned to be fenced in or not, like if there's going to be direct access from Shoals Ferry Road or not. And we just want to make sure that if this is truly a community, like a Westmont community park, that we try to like limit folks and like teenagers hanging around, congregating there. So that's I guess another area that we wanted to hear your thoughts on.
Sure. So the CCNRs were recorded. So that, yes, you're right, that is a private street. Maureen, could you go back to the vicinity map? I think that will be helpful to kind of describe. So where you see Redbird running east and west, with the white background, that is public right of way. And then right where it turns into Redbird Street, where it runs north and south, that was created into a tract, which is a private street that serves access to those 4 lots. So when the subdivision was created, it was created and recorded with CCNRs that require those 4 property owners that take access to that private road to maintain that road. They own and maintain that. Well, the HOA maintains it, but those 4 homeowners have to pay a higher HOA due for maintenance of that road. So to be able to change that, that's going to require a CCNR amendment, which requires the vote of all homeowners. So we could talk about that and propose that. It will require all homeowners to accept that. So it will probably increase their monthly dues and decrease yours. We see this park as more of a pedestrian access, not really vehicular, because of the close proximity to the homes, and it just doesn't feel like it's a destination for vehicles to drive to. Now, of course, some people could drive to it, and we are going to make this park ADA compliant on the walkway, so it is possible that people can drive there. So that's just something that Dimitri, I think that we'll just have to work through and see if it makes sense for us to propose that CCNR amendment and have the whole subdivision will have to vote and decide on that. So that's really kind of out of our control, but we could definitely discuss that option.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. Thank you, Andy. And just like on the CCNR, right? Like, you guys will be doing that anyway for the park, right? Like, so there will be an increase in fees going on as part of the park proposal, right?
That is increased. That is true. So the HOA budget, of course, we're adding more improvements. So there's going to be maintenance costs and a reserve for future replacement. So we think right now, based on that current plan, it's going to be about $2 a month increase for all the homeowners. So there will be a budget impact because of that park. Changing the CCNRs to change that road to be maintained by all homeowners requires a vote. I don't know if increasing the budget goes to a vote, but of course we want to work with all the homeowners and make sure we're doing the right thing here. So those are our options with that park, and also converting that private street to be maintained by all homeowners, just not the 4.
Okay.
And so to answer your question regarding fencing, Maureen, could you go back to the other plan? Yeah, so To the east of Track C is a water quality facility, and there's some fencing there. And so we are proposing to build a fence along Shoals Ferry Road and connect to that water quality facility so that limits access to Shoals Ferry Road. So your pedestrian access will come through Redbird and not off of Shoals Ferry Road. So we are proposing to install that fence there.
This is great. Thank you. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
just let others ask questions.
Yeah, I thought you had one more question about access and so yeah, I mean there's and I don't know if you meant of like just use of just a homeowners to use this Track C. I mean, usually we could put up a sign that speaks that this is a private park and maintained by the HOA, but you know, sometimes it's just hard to manage who comes and use it. It's kind of a nice amenity for, I feel like, you know, anyone should be able to use.
Okay, thanks. I mean, I think like again from the 4 houses in that space, like the main number one question is around the cost of maintaining that road, right? So, and the other questions are also extremely relevant, and you know, I'll just maybe let other folks ask questions.
Sure. And Dimitri, I think you have my contact information, so I'm happy to speak with you after this meeting and go over any more details that you have.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so Franziska, I'm not sure who should go next, but I see a question here that says, how much, and you may have answered this already, but how much extra money are you expecting to be added to our monthly HOA so that the park is properly maintained? Or will the maintenance budget be covered by the city as one of those city neighborhood parks? So it sounds like it was more privately a park that would be maintained by the HOA.
That is correct. This is a private park. It'll be maintained by the HOA. And based on this design, our preliminary estimate shows about a $2 cost per month for each homeowner to pay for maintenance of this. So that's not a final number. We still have to go through design with the city, so this design could change. And we'll have better information as we get closer to building it. You know, the process to obtain approvals and permitting is going to take us a few months. So we're a few months away from having a final design and starting construction on this.
Okay, right.
To answer your question, Jen, the questions in the Q&A section have come in before the additional folks have their hands raised. So there's a comment of somebody who favors this proposal. Thank you for making that comment. And then there's a question, is the picnic bench on grass in the picture or cement?
Yeah, so we're proposing the concrete walkway with a couple benches along it. And then we're also proposing a picnic table at the center. And we're just kind of envisioning that in kind of landscape grass area, but we could definitely look at, you know, putting a concrete pad there. We just wanted to kind of leave this more natural and open space and less disturbance to the natural ground. So we're trying to propose the least amount of impacts.
Great. And then there are 2 questions that address the same kind of content, but folks are asking about play structures in addition to the picnic tables. Is there any possibility of adding any play equipment?
Currently, we're not proposing that. That's something that I could look into further and get back to people. But at this point, we're looking at this more of a passive area because it's a natural area with natural vegetation. So we wanted to keep this a little bit more passive is kind of our approach to this.
Great, thank you for that. And then one final question in the Q&A, and then Jen, I'll turn it back to you for the 2 guests that have their hands up, and then there's an additional question in the chat. But would the grounds be leveled out so that they are more usable?
Yeah, so the concrete walkway will be leveled out so it's ADA compliant. But we didn't want to do that much grading on track C. We're trying to keep it as natural as possible and just, grade what's necessary to provide that pathway. So the pathway will be graded and leveled out for ADA compliance, and then we would keep the rest of track C as its existing condition.
All right, so I'm going to allow Julia Connor to talk. Go ahead, Julia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Connor. And first, thank you, everyone, for your time on this. And a special thanks to Andy and your team for all the work you've put into this. And we just really appreciate it. I just want to give a little bit of context on this, too. And just another just word of appreciation to DR Horton. About more than 45 homeowners at Westmont put together this request for this play space and shared space. And we're just really grateful that they've been listening and hearing us and helping drive this process forward and getting all the necessary approvals and going through the process on our behalf. So just a big thank you to them for being part of this community and help building this future community with us. So I want to say that. I also just had a question, just Andy and maybe your team, whoever is best, like how much opportunity is there to weigh in on the design of this? For example, I don't know if you've tried to walk across this tract C, but it's a sort of treacherous natural space for playing and just, a space that would be usable for the neighborhood kids beyond the park benches. So just wondering, first of all, how much opportunity is there to weigh in on the design piece and possibly creating part of it as a grass play space or something like that, even without a structure, or again, the question about adding a structure at some point. So just wondering how much flexibility or input can we give? And second of all, how much and what's the best way to feed into the plans and the design piece, and what's the best avenue for doing that?
Sure. So hi, Julie. I think you have my contact information as well. So yeah, we, we'll please send me any ideas that you guys have. And, obviously I have to talk to other people in my organization about what we're going to move forward with. But yeah, I'm happy to hear any ideas that you have on our design. And we would try to incorporate as much as possible, but I have to get approval from other people to do that. So, yeah, send that over to me, and I'll communicate with you through this process. And I can't promise you anything right now, but we'll definitely consider any ideas that you or anyone else in the community will have.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, I am going to allow Wesley to talk. Hey, Wesley.
Oh, hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak here. My name's Wes Pappas, and I also am in one of those 4 houses that live on the private street down there. I do think that it seems awkward that the only access point to this park would be a private street, that is maintained just by the 4 homes. So I'm kind of along the lines of Dimitri there, in thinking that if this is an access point for everybody in the community to use, then why is it an access through a private street that only 4 of the homes are actually responsible for the upkeep of? Another thing, in looking at the design of this, I guess that was just more of a comment there. In looking at the design of this, it seems to me like you've got kind of this little bench area, but it's fairly close to this house. And then you were talking about the rest of the tract being left as is. I live on the house that's right next to the other tract that's at the end of these, and I'm kind of the one that has to maintain, because the property management's not doing a very good job of maintaining that. I end up watering all the trees just to keep them alive and everything on the other side of this. And it is treacherous. Like, I mean, if a kid were to run through that field as is, I was thinking maybe there would be like, actual grass brought in and landscaping. You'd break an ankle in a second. It's really treacherous there if you're going to leave it as is. So I don't know what use this park would have. If the, you know, it looks like roughly 85 to 90% of it, you couldn't really be in. It's, you know, a bunch of weeds basically, and very uneven ground. And so, yeah, I just, you know, along the lines, I know that would be a CCNR vote. I will say that it seems like a lot of people are behind this, but, you know, the 4 houses that actually you have to go right through, you know, their private road to get to it as the only access point weren't really included in this. So that seems a little strange to me. And so I guess that's the comments that I have. Oh, I guess one comment that I have maybe for Andy would be, or a question would be, do you know why that Redbird Street, the end that we are on, is a private tract in the first place? It's constantly used as a turnaround. So vehicles are just constantly coming down and turning around there. And it seems strange that that is private in the first place. Do you know the rationale behind that?
Not really. So this property was owned and controlled by West Hills Development. And so they went through the approval process with the city through the planning efforts. And then they sold the property to us after the planning approval. And so then we went ahead and, you know, did the site development and built the home. So I don't know off the top of my head what the background was as far as why that became a private street. That was already approved that way, and we just had to kind of follow suit with that approval. But that's something that we could probably research and find out. I know that this was the regular shape of the property, and getting those lots in there. That turnaround design is probably was probably one of the best options for the developer when they got the planning approval, and maybe that hammerhead, they call that a hammerhead. It's kind of a technical term that's used, but that turnaround area is probably could have forced why that became a private, because that's probably doesn't meet the public street standard. So, but I don't know off the top of my head. That was kind of a condition already set for us, and we just had to follow suit on that.
And just lastly, thanks a lot for that. That gives me some insight. And just lastly, like, is this something that there's a precedent for in terms of having like an access point beyond a private road? You know, I mean, like where the only access to a park would be through a private street? It seems strange.
Yeah, I think, you know, this site was developed with that as a private street, and this tract C was developed as just a kind of a natural open space area, not intended for a park. So after hearing comments from the community and wanting a small park there, we put this design together, and really the only access point was off of that private street. I mean, the other access would be coming off of Shoals Ferry Road, but we felt like we didn't really want this park open to Shoals Ferry and having because it's going to be maintained by the HOA, we kind of wanted to control that access. So I think that's kind of the reasons why we chose that. It's the most logical where the public sidewalk ends. We're just going to extend that to that area. So I think that's kind of the reason why we picked that as the access point, because directly to the west is existing homes. Directly east is the water quality facility, and then you have Shoals Ferry Road to the south. And so so they kind of left us with that end of that private road and just extending that public sidewalk. So that was the intent there.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Next, I'm going to allow 5T23PF to speak. Hopefully not a robot. Oh, I think Broderick slipped in. So Broderick, you are up. Okay, let's go back to.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I apologize. This is Stephanie, Broderick's wife.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to come on and say thank you first off to DR Horton for even considering all of this, because, you know, I know in the end you really didn't have to. So it's much appreciated by me and my family. You know, I did want to kind of mirror a little bit what Julie had said and even a little bit what Wes had said. I do think, hopefully anyways, if it's possible, that at least part of this track, aside from the sidewalk and the bench area, could be leveled in some way with some grass, or even a, you know, a pad or mulch or something. Not the splinter mulch, please, but other mulch. Just because, you know, I walk by there almost every day, and it would be hard to have kids, or I mean, even as an adult, I wouldn't walk through there because of all of the unevenness and the weeds and stuff. It would be rough. And so I get that it's a really large tract, and so trying to do something over the entire tract, I can see how that might not be possible. But even if it was just, you know, something to the side or in front of, you know, like closer to Shoals Ferry, like if you were to put grass there, something, like I said, something that just was a little bit more flat and a little bit more user friendly for kids and probably adults alike. But yeah, so, and that's pretty much all I had, just to say that I'm completely for this. I think $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month more is worth it for our community, to be able to get together in a space. One last thing, just to say, I have never lived in a community that is as diverse as Westmont is. I have neighbors from all parts of the globe, and I've been so impressed with it. And that is kind of gathering in empty lots before this is kind of how I started meeting people in this neighborhood. And, you know, so without it, not that of course I can't meet people, but it was just, I just think it was just such a huge impact. And so I am totally for this, and I'm, you know, hopeful. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Stephanie. We'll definitely look at different design options. I want to thank, I'm not sure if we have any more questions, but I do appreciate everybody's comments, and we will take a look at that and see what adjustments we can make to this plan.
We do have a few more comments and questions. So let's see. Okay. All right. We have some, you can't really address this one, I don't think, but I'll read it. We already have some major concerns with our HOA for lack of service. Is this going to be only pitched to our current HOA, or will an RFP be sent out to obtain bids from other potential vendors?
Yeah, so I'm happy to hear, and we could sidebar this, but I'm happy to hear what's happening, or at least what's not happening is what I'm hearing about our management company. So as the community is getting built out, we'll do a turnover, and then the homeowners can take control of the board and make their own decisions and hire their own management company. But if there's anything that I'd love to hear, whatever is not being managed well, and see what adjustments we can make. Because you know, we want to make sure it's a great community. Like Stephanie said earlier, it's very diverse. She's so happy with how the community turned out. We're very happy with how the community turned out, and we would love to make sure that we leave it in a good spot with a good management company. And so yeah, I'd love to hear what the issues are and see if we could resolve that with the current management company. And if not, then, you know, we can. The new board could always select, you know, a different management company and get a better service. So,
Okay, great.
I'm not sure if my contact information is on the agenda or not, but I'm happy to share that if it's not on there.
Yeah, if you could put your contact info in the chat, that would be fantastic.
Just be sure that when you do, you use the drop down instead of just all panelists. You say all panelists and attendees, so that everybody can see it, not just the panelists.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that. So all panelists and attendees. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you my email address is probably the best way to get a hold of me. If there's obviously, if you email me, we can talk also, but it's just easier on email because I check that instantly versus sometimes my cell phone and work phone, I have a lag in checking those. Okay, so it's aetiemann@drhorton.com. So yep, there's my email address. Please email me if you want to have if you want to speak to me personally. I'll reach out to you. Just let me know, and I'll get back to you. It might take me a day or two, but I will definitely reach out to anyone that contacts me.
Okay. Franziska, since I haven't done a developer presentation before, do we need to continue to go through everything?
It just depends on how much time was allocated on the agenda. I know that we still have the school board that will require, you know, a good chunk of tonight's time as well. So that is your discretion. Obviously, Andy's contact information is there for folks to reach out to him directly. But so I'll leave it up to you. There's obviously a lot of questions and comments still in the chat. So in the interest of time, I'll defer to you.
All right, so guys, I'm gonna beg your forgiveness and ask that you will please email Andy and share all of your concerns and thoughts with him. And I think it was great that there was like this lovely balance of very thoughtful questions and support for this. So I think that's great.
What I can also do is I can save this chat and send it to Andy as well, so that folks' feedback and comments are fully captured from tonight's meeting. So I can do that after tonight.
I think that is fantastic. Thank you so much, Franziska, for that offer.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you very much. And Jen, thank you so much for allowing us to present this and hear everyone's comments and concerns. We look forward to building this park, and I appreciate everybody's time here.
All right. Thank you, Andy and team.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Now, of course, I'm seeing on Becky's screen that something's happening. Oh, dear.
I have been, can you hear me?
Yes, I absolutely can, Becky. Thank you.
I got kicked off several times, and
oh
no. But you can't see me?
We cannot see you, but we can definitely hear you.
We were able to see you before.
I know, and then I got kicked off, and then it was coming double, and my camera is on.
Your screen looks better than it did previously. Now we're seeing your name.
Okay.
This is looking promising.
Oh, I just love technology.
Oh, don't we all?
I do not know what else to try here. I know I was on before, and then I got kicked off, and so how about if because I know time is of the essence, why don't I just go ahead and start talking and
that sounds great, Becky. If you are comfortable with that, then
I apologize. It says that everything is on, and I'm anyway. And my IT support is not home this evening, so anyway, my name is Becky Tymchuk, and I am the chair of the Beaverton School Board. And I thank you very much for being here this evening. And obviously, for those of you that are parents, as well as just our community members, you know that our schools are not looking like they normally do. We started the school year in comprehensive distance learning, and we announced 2 weeks ago for 4th through 12th grade, we will stay in that distance learning mode until February, which will be the end of our first semester. And yesterday, we just announced that our pre-K through 3rd would also stay in that mode till February. And we in the Beaverton School District are following the Oregon Department of Education, as well as the Oregon Health Authority, as well as the Governor's Office. And our #1 priority for the school board and the district is that we keep our students and our staff as safe as possible. And none of us on the school board have a degree in public health, so we are relying on those experts. And we know how difficult this is for our families. We know how difficult it is for our students. And we know how trying it is for our staff, because everybody wants our students back in our buildings where they can thrive and grow. But this is the way the majority of students are being taught in Oregon right now, as well as many places across the country. So our schools look differently. So we're doing the best we can to try to bring as much normalcy, semblance of normalcy to our schools as possible, while still keeping safety as a #1 priority. So you know that each one of our schools, they have interactions with their teacher and come on with the distance learning. But we also have other things that still have to go on in the school district. And one of those is our middle school boundaries. We just wrapped that up with our community. It took them 16 months. We had to take a little bit of time off for a while when everything was closed down. The last proposal was made last week, and now our superintendent, Superintendent Grotting, on October 29th, will be having a community listening session on our middle school boundaries. The main purpose of the middle school boundaries is we have a new middle school that is opening up north of the district called, right now it's temporary name is called Timberland until it gets its official name. And we have major overcrowding in some of our middle schools that are up north of Beaverton, Stoller Middle School being one. So the main purpose of the middle school boundaries was to alleviate the overcrowding at Stoller and populate Timberland. But there were some other adjustments that were made throughout the district. So if you would like to have any input on those middle school boundaries, I encourage you to listen to our October 29th listening session, and you can also submit public testimony at that time. We are also looking for 2 members for our budget committee. They represent Zone 1 and 2, which is not part of the Sexton Mountain, Cooper Mountain area. It's more the Raleigh Hills and the Bethany area. But I did want you to know that we are looking for some people to apply for our budget committee. And we're also looking for our community members to get involved in our long-term planning facilities. This is really important in Beaverton. As much as what we're dealing with in the school district right now, we want to be looking at what does the Beaverton School District look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And I will tell you, it has put ourselves right on the head when we've got people that are not in our schools right now. So how do you predict, are we going to be totally back to normal in the spring? Are we going to be totally back to normal in the fall? How many things do we have to keep planning for? So that really hinders our long-term planning, but we cannot just put it on the backside because we are dealing with COVID-19. And that also goes for how much we appreciate our community members and the taxpayers of the Beaverton School District that have been supporting us in an 8-year bond. We're in year 7. All of our projects are currently on time and within budget. And now we are starting to plan for what is the likelihood of all of the buildings that we have and making sure that they are seismic and doing all the things that we need to do to keep our students and staff safe. So that is kind of it in a nutshell of what's going on right now, as well as the big picture. And I really just wanted to leave time if people had questions about what's going on in our schools. And I so appreciate the partnership that we have with the NAC and Sexton Mountain and all the great community leaders that we have in our schools. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Becky. So we are open for questions. And go ahead, if you would like to speak, you can raise your hand. If you would like to put a question in the Q&A, we will go ahead and share that with Becky. Do we have any panelists who have questions for Becky while we're waiting to see what people want to hear more about?
Jen, you've got to have a question. You've always got good questions.
I
And you're so
do. I
involved in our
always have a
schools.
question. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about the process of Timberland becoming its own permanent middle school? So I come from the perspective that I work for ACMA and I happen to be over at Timberland right now. And I believe that the new principal will be starting in that building in January.
That is correct. Jill O'Neill will be starting, and what will happen is they get a 6-month-long planning, staffing and what the curriculum looks like. The school board will choose the permanent name. We'll ask our community for input on what they think that permanent name should be. We'll have the students that are feeding into it help us out with things like mascot and school colors and all the things that you need to do to establish. But the school has been, obviously, we've already worked out all the kinks. Sometime when we move into a brand new facility, we're still bringing things up, but because we have used this as a swing school for the last 3 years, as we've been building other schools, the school has been able to, we know how everything works, and we've made all those adjustments, and so now it's just ready to be its own permanent middle school with staffing and a principal and students that will be feeding into there.
Great. Another question that I know neighbors have been asking me is, when do you think we'll get an indication of what second semester is going to look like for Beaverton School District, and what sort of preparations then need to happen kind of on the backside, the stuff that you're more in touch with and aware of?
The main thing is how much we here in Washington County are tied in to the metrics. Is the governor going to reassess those metrics? The other thing that we have is we have found out in the Beaverton School District, about 15% of our employees live in Multnomah County. So it's not just what's happening in Washington County. And the last we saw, COVID doesn't know the dividing line between Washington and Multnomah County. So there's just, many things that we have to take into account. The other thing with being a district that the size we are, our staff is constantly planning what hybrid might look like. And that hybrid is whether students would maybe be part-time in school and part-time doing distance learning, whether they'd be able to return totally back into school. So we are putting together, our staff is putting together scenarios over and over again, what transportation looks like, how we're going to keep the social distancing, what we need to do to have the proper equipment, how we will feed students. All of these take a lot of process because we have 53 schools that would be feeding into this. So this is quite an operation. So we want to give our families enough lead time. So if they need to make arrangements that they have enough lead time, whether it be for childcare or transportation or just what their home situation needs to look like. But at the same time, we want to be open to, if there's the possibility of getting our students back in our building, if we are able to do that in a safe manner for our staff and students, that is a number one priority.
Right. And then kind of a question I hear again and again, and this is like kind of from the staff side, but then what happens if we start seeing infections happening within our schools?
Well, and that's a big concern. I mean, we're constantly weighing, is it harder on our families and our students if we bring them back and then a week or two or a month or two we have to shut it back down, and is that going to be harder for kids to keep having to adapt back and forth, or is it better to just try to keep them where we're in distance learning and doing the best we can to try to level that playing field? But this is obviously, we are watching very cautiously around the state, other school districts that have tried to open. Like today, the big news story was Albany opened 2 weeks ago, and now it's having to go back to distance learning. And so that's one of those things, that risk benefit that you are constantly weighing is what is harder on our students and families. if we bring them back in and then there's an outbreak and that's, that's an issue. Are we going to have testing readily available? We do not. Do you just dismiss the class where the outbreak occurred and they had to go into a 10-day quarantine? Those are all things that we're going to have to decide if we do come back. What will be the next protocol that we will have to follow? Will it be the whole school that we close down and put in quarantine? Those are all things that we are going to have to, if we bring our students back in, of having a proper protocol.
Okay. Folks, I feel like I'm asking all the questions I ever wanted to ask, which is wonderful. I love that. But if other folks have questions, I sure would love to hear your perspective.
Well, Jen, I love it that our community is so passionate about a park and that they are readily accept what we are all having to do in public education right now. So if people don't have burning questions, that's okay with me, because I love the conversation about the park.
Yeah, I hear you. Trying to think of anything else that has, that we're kind of dealing with. So I know that the metrics for younger kids look a bit different, that it seems like there can be a little bit more infection rate in the community. I'm trying to remember the data. Was it like 30 per 100,000?
Right.
As long as the community is beneath that, then it's okay for the younger kids to come back. I'm guessing that would still be a hybrid return though. And I was wondering, like, are we committed as a district to having hybrid, if we can get to that point, having hybrid through the rest of the school year? Or do you envision a possibility that we could have certainly the younger kids returning on a more regular basis?
Jen, you're exactly right. The metrics that the governor's office has put out in Oregon Department of Education is it's 30 per 100,000, and you need to stay there at 3 weeks. And there was a short time in August, September that we did dip below that. We didn't keep it for 3 weeks, but we did dip below that. And we started having the conversations about what hybrid could look at for our pre-K through third grade students. Also looking at our special ed students, as well as our English language students, getting some of our most vulnerable population back in the schools that we can. So we started looking at that. There are lots of mechanics that go into a decision making, and it's not just something we on the school board or the administration can make by ourselves. We have 2 large bargaining units that we have to take into account their working conditions and work with them. So before we would get to a place with hybrid or coming back, we would need to work out all of those details to make sure that we are meeting all the proper protocols. We know what needs to be in place. And so that's why we will give as much lead time to our families as possible so that the right things can be done. This is not something that is going to turn around in a week's time.
For sure. Yeah, and unfortunately, the metrics at this point are going in the wrong direction. So, I think your guys' decision to at least stay in this CDL process until February just makes a lot of sense. And, we can all hope that there's going to be a vaccine coming online in a reasonable time period. But again, it sounds like it might be spring in the earliest that kind of the perhaps regular folks will get the opportunity to even have the vaccination. So I think.
And Jen, you have to think of then even the mechanics on top of that. Do we get ourselves in a place that we can turn around? Does it mean you have to have a vaccination before you can return to school? Will there be a clearinghouse? Do all staff have? I mean, this is going to be something our country is dealing with the ramifications for quite a while here. This is not a quick fix, and And there's just going to be a whole lot of things that, and hopefully by watching other areas, watching even other countries, watching the European countries, other folks that are a little bit ahead of us, kind of, we're watching everything very closely to try to learn from best practices of how we're going to deal with this going forward. So I see someone here has a question about our virtual, our option schools and the deadline. Yeah. And you're right, we're starting to put people out there if they want to apply, because this is usually the fall is the time that you apply for option schools. We know this is a very confusing time. How do we know we want to apply for an option school if we're not going to be in school? So we are looking at, are we going to, the main problem that we have with any of our option schools as far as our other schools, it is we have to put together a budget next year, whether we're ready for it or not. We are required to pass a balanced budget every June. We start that budget process in January. So things like staffing option schools, we still have to go through the process of having people apply for the option schools so we know how to staff them. But I do think that our teaching and learning is going to be maybe extending those deadlines, because these are such unprecedented times that we're trying to figure these things out right now. So I think there'll be something that you'll see going out. So
right, and I would just add to that, just not from the high level that Becky's coming from, but from working at an option school myself, that ACMA, I would imagine the other option schools are putting together videos that are going to highlight information about our school, and we're going to try to include kind of answers to common questions and have some of our students answer those questions and kind of put it all together. I know our principal and our principal secretary are working on that right now, and they're aiming to be able to post that pretty much in the first week of November. And we know that's a poor substitute. We would love to be able to have people come inside, but as Becky said, in these unprecedented times, that's just not possible right now. But a plus for us is that our new school is opening next year, and we're hoping to get some video from within the new building. So
I see where, someone asked, we absolutely are very aware this is causing, we had an equity gap before COVID hit. Everything that was a gap before, this is just magnified because of how we are having to teach. We are very aware of this. We're aware that there are families that have problems with connecting to Wi-Fi, that there are numerous people in a home where it's difficult to all get on at the same time. There are families that are trying to juggle that they're not home, so the kids can't be home to sign on. Each one of our schools has a team, a cares team, a health, and we are really going down with our counselors, with our psychologists, with our social workers, to look at every single student and what we can possibly do to help them get engaged. We are working with a lot of our community partners, some of our local churches that are helping us with facilities. Because we cannot have students in our buildings, we have a few childcare where they're staying in cohorts. We are still really looking at how we can get our students that need the help the most in a place where they can have some more contact with staff. Maybe that means we're doing a lot more home visits, just anything we can do to try to make that connection. We are very, very aware of how unfair this is to our families, and we're just trying to do the best that we can when we are aware of it and trying to get the wraparound services. We're extending the FDA, anyone in our school district, 1 to 18, it does not matter what your means, we are providing food. Any sort of things that we can do right now to help families is what we're trying to do. There's another question here. I absolutely do not know the exact statistics of how many folks have left our school district to do homeschooling. We do know statistically a very, very high percentage are our kindergartners. If this is the first time that you're entering in our school district and You saw the things are going on. A lot of families, because you are not required by law to be in kindergarten. That is, you're not required. By first grade, we need to know where you are, but not kindergarten. So a lot of families have just chosen. So we don't know whether it's really homeschooling. If you are homeschooling, they need to go to our educational service district and apply with the state. I do not know the exact numbers, but I do know that we have roughly 1,500 students that have signed up for our full-time Flex program, which is a full online school from kindergarten through 12th grade. We have about 1,500 students, and we are, as of last week, we believe our numbers are about 1,300 that we are down right now overall out of 42,000 kids, about 1,300, and that could be homeschooling. They might have transferred to a private school. They might be part of a private pod of some sort. There's lots of different options. A virtual charter school they might have signed up for. So I don't know exactly how many have signed up for homeschooling. But the state also has not required, usually at this time, if you have not entered school and for 10 days, you are dropped from our rolls. But because across the state, there is no dropping right now. So it's hard for us to totally track down where everyone has gone unless they've come and told our exact principals, this is where I've gone.
Great. Do we have any other questions, folks? If not, Becky, I just want to thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. Oh, it looks like Scott maybe has a question.
Yeah, I'm just curious if there's been any discussion yet, either at BSD or more education around the state, to try and get more messaging about the importance of getting more people to stay home and not gather. A kind of more not daily, but weekly reminders of how we're not meeting the metrics, and so many school districts are in the same status we're in, because I guess I just feel like I hear it a lot in my circle because we're all parents, but I don't feel like it comes across my eyeballs a lot while I'm online or watching the news.
So Scott, are you willing to go door to door and get right in people's face? I'll tell you what, there is just so much information out there. I think that people are just on overload. And I mean, we've got the governor, we've got everyone saying, you know, the fate is in our hands. Wearing the mask, keeping the distancing, washing, you know, fate is in our hands. And I, you know, with the holidays coming up, with the bad weather coming up, I mean, if we couldn't get this totally under control in summertime in Oregon when we're all outside all the time, it's just a very interesting phenomenon to watch how we're all reacting to things in different ways. But I think we knew if we were really serious back in June that we really valued students being back in school, we would have done some things differently to make sure that we could have ensured that students could have been back in school. You can't just say the words. There's got to be an action plan, and people have to make sacrifices. And I know there are a lot of businesses and a lot of families that are making a lot of sacrifices, and it still does not put us in a place that we can get our kids back in school right now.
All right, good thoughts. Hey, Jim, go ahead.
I don't have any question per se that, you know, Becky, you've been at this a long time. It seems like years since it started, and you've heard it from so many parents. But it's reassuring for me to hear the way that you're speaking, that you're taking a measured approach to this and not giving in to probably the pressures that are being put upon to force an opening, that you're seeing how other school districts are opening and failing with it. So I'm just you know, glad that you're taking this approach, and all you can do is hang in there and do the best you can for the safety of all the children in our school district, and I applaud that.
Well, thank you very much for that comment. I will have to say I give a lot of credit to our community. We are a thoughtful intelligent community. And we read the paper, we watch the news. We can see that this is not going in the direction. I mean, I definitely, my inbox, my school board inbox does, you know, folks, whether it be sports or whether it be, I mean, people just are, there are just some families that are just at the end of their rope. They just need to have some hope. And I think about any of us can step up and do something if we know it's for a month or we know it's for 2 months. But when you have something where we don't even know how long, to even tell our children how long we have to do this. But I really think that the way our students, our children adapt with this is because we, the adults, make sure that they know they're going to be safe, they're going to be taken care of, and we're all going to be okay. And that message needs to come from us, the adults. We're all going to be okay, and Beaverton's in the same boat as Portland, as in Hillsborough, as in Salem, as in, you know, so we're all going to be okay. And I really give a lot of credit to our community that they're the ones that have the level heads and are being very, very cautious and courteous during this time.
Well, Becky, thank you so much. I'm sorry about probably the amount of insomnia you live with, because if I were in your position, I would have so many sleepless nights. But thank you so much for the commitment you've made to the community. We really appreciate it, and I definitely want you to know that.
Well, I appreciate it, Jen, and it's because of really, really outstanding parents like yourself that our school district is so strong. So it takes a village, and you are very much an important part of that village. And I thank you very much for including me in, because this is how we get the word out to our families. And I thank you all for participating tonight.
Great. Thank you, Becky. Have a great night.
And I'm sorry, no picture, but it's probably good on my part.
It's probably nice to not have that break, right?
For what it's worth, I've done a lot of Zoom meetings, and I have never seen this situation happen before.
I keep pulling up my camera. I keep trying it all these different ways over here.
The spinning circle of death. I have never seen that come up before. This is one for the books for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I obviously have to figure out before it works before work in the morning. So.
Yes, exactly. All right, Becky. You have a good night, and keep doing the good work. Okay.
Sure will.
Okay. All right. That was fantastic having Becky with us. All right. So Lexis Hamilton is going to talk to us a little bit about an activity that we were working on for the neighborhood.
Hi guys. So we were originally trying to put together an event which we talked about briefly. Oh, actually, was that last month? Or was that at the PTC meeting? Oh my goodness. I think it was at the PTC meeting. And we were trying to put together an activity, but after looking at the changing statistics and the health concerns for some of the folks in our community with infection rates going up and all of that, we've decided not to move forward with a harvest walk that we were originally planning, just because we want to make sure everyone in the community is safe and enjoys the holiday in ways that are comfortable for them. So while we're sad that we can't do that, we've collected a few other ideas for people to be able to do with their family. These are things that are put on around Beaverton, and I am going to run down a list of a few just in case people want to put them on their calendar. So the first is, so the festive fall happenings. So Beaverton 2020 is taking place at various downtown businesses from the 17th. So it's already started through the 31st, where participating businesses are going to decorate their storefronts with Halloween and fall themes and place hidden scavenger hunt symbols in or around their store. So you can take selfies and participate with businesses there. People are encouraged to use the Beaverton 2020 hashtag and can win prizes. You're welcome to dress up, and costumes are highly encouraged. Next, or I guess at the end of this week, over the weekend, there's another event for Dia de los Muertos, a story and craft time being hosted on the Beaverton City Library's YouTube channel on October 24th from 1 to 2 p.m. So that's on Saturday, and they're going to be doing Day of the Dead things at home. You can listen to a story about Day of the Dead and then learn how to make a craft. So the entire family is encouraged to come along, and you can register ahead of the event so that the YouTube link will be sent to your inbox. Also on the 26th at the Beaverton City Library, they're doing a virtual event where you can wear a costume and enjoy what they call a not too scary story. It's for ages 1 through 6, so our younger kiddos who are really little, and also encouraged to register at the Beaverton City Library's website. 2 more quick ones also at the Beaverton City Library. There's another virtual event the same day, Monday, October 26th, 3:30 to 4 p.m. It's a show and tell for costumes. So this is for slightly older kids, K through 3. It'll give kids an opportunity to get together and show off what their costumes are so that they can maybe see some friends or just celebrate together. Again, register with an email address and you can get a link prior to the event, so it's easy to get into. And then finally, on Tuesday, the 27th, from 3:30 to 4 p.m., the Beaverton City Library is putting on creepy STEM experiments. So they're going to be doing really cool experiments that are ghastly and oozing and all sorts of neat things. This is for grades 1 through 5. Those are the ones that are probably going to get the most fun out of it. And again, register through the City of Beaverton. Or I mean through the, I'm sorry, not the City of Beaverton, the Beaverton City Library.
And I would just add to that, Mark added early on in our meeting that there is a Halloween activity. Was it this coming Saturday, Mark?
Yes, it's this Saturday at the Howard M. Turpening's Sports Complex at 158th and Walker, starting at 6 p.m. It's a Halloween trick-or-treat drive-through.
So any idea how that works to keep everyone safe?
Well, you're going to stay in your car. I would assume everybody would have masks on outside that would be or I guess handing the food. I don't know exactly how that's being handled, but obviously there's going to be more information on our website on that.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, Lexis, thank you so much for the work that you put into trying to make this happen. And I so appreciate your looking at what was going on in the community and responding to that in a thoughtful way. So really appreciate that.
You bet.
All right, so with that, we're going to move on to NAC Business. And I think that Seonna took the minutes from last month and maybe sent them out already, but I don't feel like we can approve them because I feel like I need to resend them out. So I'm going to hold on that until next month, okay? And then Scott, it's time for treasurer report time.
Yes. So second verse, same as the first. Our current balance is $3,085.20, and that's remained unchanged from last month.
All right. Thank you, Scott. And I want to take a minute to thank Scott for his 3 years of service for the Sexton Mountain NAC. So can everyone give him a round of applause? So Scott, thank you so much for the time that you spent with us. And I just know that all the different things that you do in the community, you know, you're going to be able to do even more now because you won't have to watch our budget anymore, but we just so appreciate the time that you've spent with us, and you are just a fantastic person, and so thank you. I don't know what else to add to that.
For those words.
So thumbs up, thumbs up. Oh, and you get to hear my pup. All right. So do we have any final comments or questions before we adjourn? Clearly my dog has comments. All right, with that, I'm going to hit the virtual gavel. And yay, Becky says, enjoyed being with us. If we have any questions, we can find her email and cell phone on the school district website. And she appreciates our dedication to our community. Stay safe and healthy. All right, guys, have a great week.